What's going on, guys? It's Night Dog! And today, I'll be starting a brand new series in The Elder Scrolls Online, How to Tank. The main focus of this series is to take a deep look into tanks and answer several questions along the way, like, what race makes a good tank? How do I level a tank from 1 to 50? What stats make a tank? What are best sets for a tank, and so on. Now, I will be breaking things down in their own respective videos, so we can focus on one topic at a time. This is to help out new players to the game, or players who want to learn the role of a tank. So, I welcome you here as we begin our mighty quest from zero to hero. I want to also thank you for wanting to play a tank for your group, or if you just enjoy the thought of being an unkillable tank. So, let's start at the beginning. First question, what race should I pick, or what is the best race? Now, in order to answer this question, we will need to look at all the playable races in the Elder Scrolls Online. I'll be going over all the passives that each race in the Elder Scrolls Online have to offer. We'll be starting with the Argonian. The Argonian has increased their health healing done by 6%. For a tank, this is actually pretty powerful. Each class has a self-heal ability in some sort of way, so this will make those heals stronger with this passive. Also, increase max health by 1000. This will help you stay alive as a tank. More health you have, the more damage you can take. You will also have 2310 disease and poison resistance as well. This helps reduce the damage you take against those particular damage types. Next, we have an increase to max stam and magicka by 1000. With stam, we will mostly be using this on taunts and blocking. With magicka here, this will help with our self heals since most of the heals in the game cost magicka. Last, when you drink a potion, you gain an additional 3125 health, stam, and magicka with whatever potion you drink. This is a very helpful way of managing your resources. If no stam, no more blocking. No magicka, no more self heals. No health, you'll be on the floor collecting pennies while waiting for a res. Most likely a wipe from your teammates or group members. Overall, Argonians help with resource management, so a good choice for tanks who have trouble with managing their resources. We'll be going over the Breton next. Bretons have an increased max magicka by 2000. This allows for more self-heals or magicka-based taunts to be casted. Next, an increased spell resistance to 2310. And this is doubled if you have the burn, chilled, or concussed status effect applied to you. As a tank, this helps reduce damage you take against those effects by a significant amount and is quite powerful passive. Also, increased magicka recovery by 130. This is a good passive for a tank, since we can recover magicka, allowing us with easier self-heals and taunts. This does go further with a reduction to all magicka abilities by 7%. Overall, Bretons help with magicka sustain issues, so a good choice for tanks that focus on magicka and have high cost magicka abilities. We'll be going over the Dark Elf next. Dark Elves have increased their max stam and magicka by 1910. This is better than the Argonian's passive, and like I stated before, this helps with taunting, blocking, and self-heals. Next, we increase the flame resistance by 4620. This will help reduce damage from that damage type. There are also a lot of dungeons that have flame damage as you venture around Tamriel. Last is increasing our weapon and spell damage by 258. This will help clear content a little faster with the extra damage you'll be putting out. It won't be like 5k DPS difference, but all the amount of damage we have still helps. Overall, the Dark Elf helps with more resource and a bit of damage, so good choice for tanks that want more stats to work with and set up for damage tanks both Magicka and Stam base. We'll be going over the High Elf next. The High Elves have a passive. Whenever we use an ability, you restore 625 Magicka or Stam based on whichever is lower. This can only happen once every 6 seconds. This will help with resource management as a tank. Also, we reduce the damage taken by 5% when ability has a channel or cast time. This is a very powerful passive if you are able to do this, since reduced damage will help with your overall survivability. Next, we have an increase to max Magicka by 2000. Like stated before, this will help with the self-heals and magic casting abilities you have. Last, we have an increase to weapon and spell damage by 258, like the Dark Elf. This will help clear content a little quicker with some damage output from the tank. Overall, the High Elf has some interesting ways of managing their resources, along with reducing damage taken by 5%, so good choice for tanks who like to run both Magicka and Stam at the same level, as in both stats sitting at either like 20k, 18k, or whatever, running at the same amount, with also the extra damage that will also help out the High Elves. We'll be going over the Imperial next. The Imperial is a race that will need to be bought from the Crown Store since it does not come with the basic game. Stats on the Imperial they haven't increased their max health by 2000. As said before, a very important stat to have as a tank for surviving fights. Next, they have an increase to max Stam by 2000. This will help with the cost on taunts and blocking. Last, they have a reduced cost to all abilities by 6%. This is a powerful passive for a tank. This will help manage your resources a lot easier. Overall, the Imperial has health to keep them alive, Stam to keep the taunts and blocks, and last, reduce the cost by 6%. So good choice for tanks who struggle with resource management and want lower cost on ultimates. Next, we'll be going over the Khajiit. The Khajiit has increased Stam and Magicka recovery by 85 and health by 1000. This definitely helps with resource management. It may seem small, but it does add up when we stack this with other recovery sets in the game. Next, they have an increase to max health, Stam, and Magicka by 915. Not as strong as other races, but it makes it up with hitting all the stats here. Every major resource is used on a tank, and it is very important to have when you are building a tank. Last, they have an increase to critical damage and critical heal by 12%. This is a very powerful passive if. The key word here is if. If you can have enough critical chance, then you can have strong heals for your tank. They also have a reduction to stealth detect by 3 meters. So overall, the Khajiit is a well-rounded race with good resource management aspects. So good choice for tanks who like to have more resources to work with. Also, those who want to build for higher critical to have some stronger critical heals. We'll be going over the Nord next. Nords have an increased max health by 1000. As stated before, this is to help with survivability. Also, they have an increase to frost resistance by 4620. This will help reduce incoming damage from frost. This is not found as common in dungeons as compared to the Dark Elf's passive. Next, they have an increase to max stam by 1,500. As stated before, this will help with the taunts and blocking. Also, when you take damage, you will gain 5 ultimate. This can happen once every 10 seconds. This will allow you for more ultimates to be cast for your group members. Last, we're going to increase our physical and spell resistance by 2,600. This is a very powerful passive. The game has a cap of 33,000 resistance in PvE content. Yes, you can go over that number, but it will not stack more reduction to damage done to you. The closer you are to 33,000, the less damage you will take. So overall, the Nord has health and stam that will help along the way. The big thing here is the increase with armor and the ultimate regen. So good choice for tanks who like to cast faster ultimates, those who struggle with resistance, and those who want more resources in health and stam. We'll be going over the Orc next. The Orc has an increased max stam by 1,000. Just like the previous races, we use stam for mostly our taunts and blocking capabilities. Not as high as other races, but every little amount does help. Next, we have an increase to max health by 1,000. As stated before in other races, health will help you survive as a tank. Also, when you deal damage, you heal for 2,125 health. This can happen once every 4 seconds. This is a very powerful passive. By having health come back every 4 seconds when damaging will help you not cast self-heals as often. So, this will save resources that you can use for other things like blocking, taunts, and even the amount of self-heals you will need to cast on yourself. Though, keep in mind that the heal that you receive from this is not able to critically heal you, so you will only be given 2,125 health every 4 seconds when dealing damage. Last, we have an increase to weapon and spell damage by 258. Just like the Dark Elf and High Elf, this will help with those tanks who want a bit more damage or those looking for more of a DPS/tank style. Also, reduce the cost of sprint by 12%. This will help save stamina on your tank if your group decides to run from boss to boss in a dungeon. There is an increase to movement speed of sprint by 10% as well. This will help you get from place to place a little quicker as well. Overall, the Orc has some base resources used in a tank with a good recovery bonus when they deal some damage. So a good choice for tanks who tend to want to do a little bit more damage and be a little bit more active with their ability bars, since you will be receiving health back every 4 seconds. Also, those who want more of a stam focused DPS tank playstyle. Next, we'll be going over the Red Guard. As a Red Guard, we reduce the cost of weapon abilities by 8%. This is a very powerful passive, especially if you focus most of your abilities with weapons. Most of the powerful taunts in the game come from your weapons. We also reduce the effectiveness of snares applied by 15%. This will help us be able to move much faster when snared compared to other races in the game. Next, we have an increase to max stam by 2,000. Again, this is to allow us to taunt and block more often. Last we have here is whenever we deal damage, we restore 1,005 stam, which can only happen once every 5 seconds. This is a very powerful passive here. This will allow us to be able to do quick strikes in between blocking to get a bit of stam back to continue our blocking. Those of you that don't know this, you do not recover stam back while holding block. While blocking, your stam recovery is suppressed. If you want to learn more about this, I will be going over it in a later video. Overall, the Red Guard has some really good ways to sustain stam. As a tank, stam will allow us to be able to block longer. With the recovery, however, we need to drop block once in a while, otherwise the recovery on the race does not help. So, a good choice for tanks who like to be active by casting abilities, those who tend to not hold block all the time, and those who have mastered the right time to hold a block and then follow up with a quick strike for some well-needed stam back. We'll be going over the Wood Elf next. The Wood Elves have an increase to stealth detection radius by 3 meters. This does not really affect anything in the PvE aspect of the game. However, if we look at this for a PvP tank, this can be handy in finding some nasty Nightblades who like to gank people. We also gain movement speed of 5% at all times. This will allow us to get to allies quickly if we need, or if we need to group enemies better. The bonus passive here with an increase of physical and spell penetration by 950. This will help with a bit of damage that you will be able to do. This is not a stat like damage is. This is basically that we are cutting through armor that the enemy is wearing. This is what penetration is in the game. Next, we have an increase of stam recovery by 258. Now, to a lot of people, this does not seem like a good stat for a tank. However, like I talked on the Red Guard, if you don't block at too much in the game, the stam recovery here is very powerful. This will help keep resources up for blocking and taunting. Last, we have an increase of stam by 2,000. As stated before, more resources for taunts and blocking. Alongside of this, we also receive 2,310 poison and disease resistance. This will help prevent some damage from those types. Overall, Wood Elves have some very good ways to keep stam up, being able to move a little quicker than most races and have some little damage output. So a good choice for tanks who don't hold block as often to keep their stam coming in. Those who feel that they need to move quicker to get out of danger, to get to allies a little faster, or able to taunt enemies who are further apart. Now, with all that being said, we have finished going over all the races. Now, for people that want to know what is the best race for a tank, in my opinion, any race can tank. The best race is the race that works for you to complete your desired content, whether that be vet dungeons, whether that be vet hard mode trials. I know a lot of people who are just listening now that will probably say this is wrong, you're incorrect, you're giving everybody false statements about this. That there are actually only a couple of races to use as tanks. I will say that most everyone likes to play 3 certain races as tanks. This would be the Nords, the Imperials, and the Argonians. This is said in no particular order, I'm just stating it. I'm not sure if the people who have said this, that those are the best 3 races, have ever fully tested every race, every class, every set in the game, in every dungeon, and in every trial, all on normal, vet, and vet hard mode. All I know is to conduct that sort of test, that would take a really long time to figure all of that out. However, those are what people like for their top 3 races. I still highly encourage everyone to play the way they want to play. I also highly encourage everyone who just came in towards the end of here to go back through this video and listen to all the races passives that they have to offer on why they can be good choices for a tank. So, thank you all for watching. If you would, take a moment of your time, click that subscribe button to help grow this channel. We are trying to hit affiliate here on YouTube. If you really like the content, smash that notification bell so you can stay up to date with my content. You can also follow me over on Twitch. I do stream over there regularly and trying to get affiliation over there as well. If you have questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Also down there, you can tell me what race you are thinking about tanking with in the upcoming new passives that we have here now. Or if anything on here has surprised you. Now, if you have more personal questions that you would like to ask, you can message me over at Twitter. Again, thank you all for the supporting and watching. I hope to see you in the next one or in game. It's Nate Dog heading out.